This is Seeking the Word. This is a project where I'm reading through the Bible from beginning to end, trying to understand what the text says as I move through it. In this episode, we're looking at Genesis chapters 12 and 13. The purpose of this project is simply to read the passage carefully, observe what the text says, and spend a few minutes reflecting on it before continuing through the next part of the Bible. We'll begin with the text. Chapter 12. Now Yahweh said to Abram, "Leave your country and your relatives and your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great. You will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who treats you with contempt. All of the families of the earth will be blessed through you." So Abram went as Yahweh had spoken to him. Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Abram took Sarai his wife, Lot his brother's son, all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls whom they had gotten in Haran, and they went out to go into the land of Canaan. They came into the land of Canaan. Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. Yahweh appeared to Abram and said, "I will give this land to your offspring." He built an altar there to Yahweh, who had appeared to him. He left from there to the mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to Yahweh and called on Yahweh's name. Abram traveled, going on still toward the south. There was a famine in the land. Abram went down into Egypt to live as a foreigner there, for the famine was severe in the land. When he had come to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai his wife, "See, now I know that you are a beautiful woman to look at. It will happen when the Egyptians see you that they will say, 'This is his wife.' They will kill me, but they will save you alive. Please say that you are my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, and that my soul may live because of you." When Abram had come to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that the woman was very beautiful. The princes of Pharaoh saw her and praised her to Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into the Pharaoh's house. He dealt well with Abram for her sake. He had sheep, cattle, male donkeys and male servants, female donkeys, and camels. Yahweh afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this that you have done to me? Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say, 'She is my sister,' so that I took her to be my wife? Now therefore, see your wife, take her, and go away." Pharaoh commanded men concerning him, and they brought him on the way with his wife and all that he had. Abram went up out of Egypt, he, his wife, all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. He went on his journey from the south even to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. There Abram called on Yahweh's name. Lot also went with Abram, had flocks, herds, and tents. The land was not able to support them, that they might live together, for their substance was great, so that they could not live together. There was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. The Canaanite and the Perizzite lived in the land at the time. Abram said to Lot, "Please, let there be no strife between me and you, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are relatives. Isn't the whole land before you? Please separate yourself from me. If you go to the left hand, then I will go to the right, or if you go to the right hand, then I will go to the left." Lot lifted up his eyes and saw all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like Yahweh's garden, like the land of Egypt, as you go to Zoar. So Lot chose the plain of the Jordan for himself. Lot traveled east, and they separated themselves from one another. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, and Lot lived in the cities of the plain, and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinners against Yahweh. Yahweh said to Abram after Lot was separated from him, "Now lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For I will give all the land which you see to you and your offspring forever. I will make your offspring as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can count the dust of the earth, then your offspring may also be counted. Arise, walk through the land in its length and its width, for I will give it to you. Abram moved his tent and came and lived by the oaks of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to Yahweh. One noticeable feature at the beginning of the passage is the command given to Abram. Leave your country, your relatives, and your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you. Immediately afterward, the text records that Abram went as Yahweh had spoken to him, while also noting that Sarai and Lot traveled with him. A repeated action appears at several points as Abram moves through the land. At Shechem near Bethel and later near Hebron, the text records that Abram built an altar to Yahweh, and in one instance it adds that he called on Yahweh's name. A shift in the narrative occurs when the passage introduces a famine in the land. This leads Abram to go down to Egypt, where a conversation takes place between Abram and Sarai, in which Abram asks her to say she is his sister. The account in Egypt concludes with Pharaoh confronting Abram directly. Pharaoh asks, "What is that you have done to me?" And the passage records that Pharaoh commands his men to send Abram away with his wife and everything that he has. In chapter 13, a conflict appears between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. Abram responds by saying, "Please, let there be no strife between me and you, for we are relatives." And he offers Lot the choice of land first. Before Lot makes his choice, the garden describes the Jordan plain as well-watered everywhere like Yahweh's garden. Within that description, the text includes the phrase, "before Yahweh destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah." After Lot settles in that region, the passage adds the statement, "Now the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinners against Yahweh." One thing that stands out to me right away is the command given to Abram at the beginning of the passage. He's told to leave his country, his relatives, and his father's house and go to a land that God will show him. What caught my attention is that Abram's family had already made a major move earlier in the story from Ur to Haran. So when the instruction is framed this way, it made me pause and wonder what exactly Abram was being asked to leave behind at this point. Another detail that I noticed is that Abram doesn't actually travel alone. The text says Sarai goes with him and Lot goes with him as well. So while Abram is leaving the place he came from, he's still moving forward with part of his family. That contrast between the instruction and what actually happens in the story is something that stands out to me while reading. The episode in Egypt also raises some questions for me. Abram asks Sarai to say she's his sister because he's afraid the Egyptians might kill him if they know she's his wife. I can understand the fear behind that decision, but at the same time it made me wonder what Abram expected would happen next. If Pharaoh wanted Sarai as a wife, saying she was his sister wouldn't necessarily prevent that. And that's pretty much what the story shows happening. Pharaoh eventually confronts Abram directly, which makes the whole situation feel tense and complicated. Later in the passage, the separation between Abram and Lot stands out as well. There's a conflict between their herdsmen, and Abram responds by suggesting they separate so the strife doesn't continue. What stands out to me is that Abram doesn't demand the land or assert authority over Lot. Instead, he offers Lot the first choice. Lot then looks over the plain of Jordan and chooses the area that appears well-watered and fertile. But right after that choice, the text adds the note that the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinners against Yahweh. Reading that way almost feels like the passage is quietly giving the reader a warning about the direction Lot has chosen. That's where we'll pause for this episode. And this is Seeking the Word.